Why do you host travelers?
One of the 5 purposes that I'm putting this land to is educating young people in permaculture, homesteading skills, construction skills, that type of thing. So that's one of the reasons I host them. The other reason is because by hosting them and teaching them those things, I get a whole lot of great work done on my homestead.
Yeah. And what about the couch surfers that don't necessarily work at the farm?
Right, so couch surfers, I try to give back in couch surfing because I am hosted by couch surfers around the world and such. So that's one reason. Another is just to run into interesting people. Mm-hmm. As you've seen, we've run into some really interesting people. Like the one who clucks like a chicken and maws like a sheep and neighs like a horse. Which is fascinating. And what else? Just to expand my knowledge of the world.
Absolutely.
Where are you from and why did you come here?
I'm from Lafayette, Indiana, out in the Midwest. And what brought me here was just kind of the hand of destiny. I really haven't had any certain plan in place while traveling. It's just kind of I've been trying to keep it as much personal as possible and letting people direct me where I go next. And this is just kind of where I've ended up in Bozeman, Montana.
I'm also from the Midwest. I'm from Northfield, Minnesota. I grew up driving through Bozeman twice a year, every year. After finishing college and some job stuff, etc., and our residency, decided it was time to finally move to the mountains, and spent 2 months traveling around Montana deciding which Montana city to move to, and Bozeman had the vibe, so here I am.
From Rhode Island, and we just kind of came because we wanted to travel, and Wolfie just seemed to like it was the best.
And like, I don't know.
Yeah, we both came from like...
We were both not very happy with our lives.
Yeah.
And we both just became really close. And then there was this video on Facebook about going to Costa Rica and like doing work with the forest. And then I showed her it and we went, well, she told me about woofing and then we looked it up and then we just kind of did it.
We are from France and Belgium. In fact, I lived in Belgium for 5 years before this trip, and we decided to have a year in North America. In fact, the idea with the farms was really to learn something we could not learn with our jobs. So I'm a software developer, Christine is a French and Latin teacher, and this is working with animals is definitely not something we could do in a European city. So this was really to learn new things and get out of the routine.
We could do it in Europe. It's just that in Europe we are working, doing our job, having a normal life, and then it was the case to do it during that holiday year.
Yeah, it was an occasion, so we took it.
Yeah. How does hosting make your life different?
Firstly, I meet people from all over the world, all over the country. And so I learn things from the people I host. I also try to introduce the people I host to my grandkids and to my kids and often to my parents, and so they learn things. And it's a way, I think, also to travel vicariously. So I can feel like I'm, I can whet my appetite for travel, at least to these places, by meeting someone. So for instance, a guy Mitsui from Brazil, I fully intend to go and visit him in Brazil someday.
What have you learned about yourself during your time here?
I've worked in situations either as a worker, a paid laborer, or as a volunteer, or as a student, or as a friend. prior to this moment in this situation, I'd considered myself someone who really liked working kind of loosey-goosey and kind of going with the flow and not being planned. And I'm good at doing that. And in this particular situation, I've learned that there is a point where it's nice to have a plan, and that I appreciate knowing how things are organized, and appreciate things being, tools being in the place you expect to find them, projects being planned somewhat in advance. So I've kind of found where the other side of this balance lies.
Well, the first thing that comes to mind, I guess, is I've been able to interact with a lot of different people while being here in Bozeman. I mean, just the wolfers, the neighbors, the farmers, a lot of different people. And I think when you study people and really pay attention and listen, you know, you pick up on different things, you learn about them, and when you do that, you in turn learn about yourself too. Like, oh, I am like that as well, or I want to be like that, or I don't want to be like that. So I haven't really had any like major breakthroughs about myself, I don't think, while here, but it's just been a lot of just different special characteristics or quirks. And I've just noticed in other people that I've been able to kind of bounce back onto myself, I suppose. And for the better, you know, I've met a lot of great people out here. Just, you know, caring people who just keep giving, you know, and I love that. I love giving too. So that's good to be around people who are like that.
We continue to learn and improve to learn that we can fight a bit and understand us and have a project together, because we had to build that herb garden and we had to do it together, and it was not really clear what we have to do. Then we had to invent it and do it, and that was a big project. We had to do it together, and then sometimes there was some tension, but we always managed to solve them. Then we even know, then perhaps it's not big, yeah, it's not me, it's our couple. Learning that we can do stuff together and it's going to be well, even if it's difficult sometimes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she said everything.
Yeah, that's good. A good
We are not
example.
solving the problems like that. It's not like talk and but say, yeah.
Yeah. Have you both done this before?
I've only ever used Help Exchange or HelpX, and I'd done that after I graduated high school. When I was 18 and 19, I took a year off before going to college, and part of that time I spent in Europe and worked on 4 different farms in Spain and Germany and Norway. And so that's how I sort of knew about this type of situation, and that was the only time I'd done it. And then this year, after deciding, oh, I want to be a Bozeman, I figured I'd at least check what farms were on the Help Exchange listing in the area. I think it's a really excellent way to travel at sort of a slower pace, spend more time in a place. It's an excellent way to get to know the place longer, to be around other people in sort of a real social setting as opposed to hotel bars. It's a great way to see the land, see the town, see what's happening there that's not sightseeing, and to get some sort of locals advice. And I also like kind of being occupied while I'm at a place. I like to be working on something instead of just sitting around watching cable.
So this is my second farm I've worked on. The first one was Manitoba, Canada, and I just kind of was driving down the highway and, oh, strawberries, that sounds really good, and pulled over and started talking to the owner, and I hadn't even picked my basket and I had gotten a gig with him. I just stayed with him for 12 days, and strawberries in full swing season, so we'd go out early in the morning, pick strawberries, do different little odd jobs and whatnot, and it was awesome. I was like a part of the family, and it was just a beautiful place and a beautiful community. So I had a really, really good experience the first time, and it was just nice as well, to get your hands dirty and be investing in a project. That's really cool, because when you're just traveling and hiking and having a good time, I mean, it's nice to be doing something that's, I guess, an investment into something or a project.
Did this experience meet your expectations?
We didn't really have any
Yeah,
expectations.
I didn't want to make expectations because
I was
didn't
kind
know
of
it was gonna-
hoping on more animals.
yeah,
Really?
I wish like we worked, like I learned more
Yeah.
about like the food we were growing, something, but I didn't really learn much. I just like did mulch a lot.
Yeah, the work, I mean, I did learn a lot about what I was doing, but it wasn't much to learn. It wasn't agriculture. I mean, except for doing like the flower beds the other day. That's like gardening, so I learned how to do siding on a house though. Very useful.
I don't know if I'm learning as much as I'd want to be learning about food itself on this farm, but I'm sure as I continue to jump on these farms, you know, I'll get the education that I want, you know, the knowledge about food and growing it, and that relationship. You know, we don't have that relationship with food anymore. We just go to the grocery store and open up this plastic box and it has stuff in it, you know.
I think this particular experience has been pretty close to my expectations, but again, it was kind of I hadn't set the bar high going into it. For me, it was in some ways more of a practical experience rather than like a super idealistic one. It was kind of a way to get into the city, be around people, have something to do, have some food provided for me, have some space provided for me. Of the farm experiences I've been on, this is the one where I've met the most people that I've liked the most as far as other workers go, as far as my colleagues and equals are. A lot of the farms I've worked on have been even smaller than this, like just a family and then like myself and my friend there. And it's a very different experience because it'll be like, oh, there's like 8 or 6 or 4 people sitting around the dinner table and that's it. And that's like in some ways a little closer, but in this case it means that we as workers sort of have our own culture and our own thing going on that's sort of separate from the farm. And having that distance can be nice in a lot of ways. And it lets us, like, I think we've all grown a lot closer just because of the situation that we as like the workers are in. And it's really been a great and unexpected experience to be a part of that, as opposed to like the farm work has been farm work, you know, and it's labor and it's moving dirt and it's moving this and it is what it is, and that's kind of how I expected it to be. But just the culture of being with these other workers has been a really enjoyable thing, and it's made the weeks pass quickly, and I've really had a great time meeting them all and hanging out with them.
We didn't really, I think, reach our expectation, but we discovered things we were not thinking we will discover. Like, we had imagined something, we were hoping stuff. We don't really learn the stuff we were thinking we were going to learn, but we have learned other stuff.
In fact, we thought here we would learn things about plants, how to make them grow, which plants go together.
Yeah, how to mix the vegetables, because for us permaculture was like very big word, like lots of knowledge, and not just that you are weeding by hand.
What we learned here also was that you don't need the whole knowledge to start the project. You can just throw yourself into the project, and then you will manage to get over it.
Yeah, usually we are more organized.
Yeah, but this takes a lot of time to be organized.
It's
And then sometimes you are too organized and you never start your project. But this is another approach to projects, I think.